evening, everyone, and welcome to the April 22nd, 2021 work session of the Penfield Planning Board. We will begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, everyone, thanks for coming, everybody here in person and on Zoom, and those of you millions that are watching out in cyberspace.
We're not able to hear AJ on the Zoom feed.
Not able to hear me on the Zoom feed? Pete, can you hear me now? Okay, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Downstairs, are we good?
Stand by.
Few technical difficulties happening right now on the Zoom call.
Okay, it should be good. Test again.
Pete Weissauer, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Okay. All right, due to the COVID-19 virus and the closing of town operations consistent with the governor's executive orders, including Executive Order 202.1, which suspended certain provisions of the open meetings law, and Executive Order 202.15, which postponed public hearings unless they can be held remotely through the use of telephone conference, video conference, and/or similar service. This meeting is being held remotely. In-person public access to Town Hall is not permitted at this time, and the meeting is being video recorded and broadcast live on the Town of Penfield's Government Access Channel 1303, Town of Penfield's website, www.penfield.org, as well as a number of streaming services, including Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You can just search for Penfield TV in your device app store, and it is free, and the meeting will also be later transcribed. So, Lori, would you please call the roll?
Hetzke.
Hetzke here.
Bastian here.
Knauer here.
Tidings here.
Burton here.
Sangster here.
O'Connor here.
Cometh here.
Weissar here.
Okay. We have meeting minutes from the last meeting on April 8th. Hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to take a look at them and review them. Can we entertain a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Bastian, seconded by Knauer.
Hetzke.
Hetzke, aye.
Bastian.
Bastian, aye.
Burton.
Burton, aye.
Knauer.
Knauer, aye.
Tidings.
Tidings, aye.
All right. Doug, would you like to go over the agenda, starting with the tabled items?
All right, tabled item number 1, 1787 and 1801 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road, the Pathstone mixed-use
Sketch plan.
We haven't really had any significant updates since our last meeting. I know the board wanted to continue sort of going through and reviewing everything you heard from the last meeting, because it was a pretty substantial sketch plan. It is a mixed-use development application. So we do have Peter on the line with us from BME. Do you guys want to start with something like going through the architecture, or any substantial comments?
Yeah, we can start there. I know that I talked to a couple of board members who have not had an opportunity to get comments completed and ask for a little bit more time, so hopefully we can do that.
Okay.
And also, didn't you mention, Pete, has there been a change in representation, so to speak, at the
Pathstone.
developer, Pathstone?
Yes. This is Peter Vars from BME Associates. Rob Kane has left his position at Pathstone. The reps from Pathstone are Karen Drain, who has been involved on this project since day one. She has participated in all of the meetings we've had with the town and whatnot. It was just more Rob was the point person. And Amy Kashani is taking over in Rob's position. Amy's been at Pathstone for quite a long time. She's actually wrapping up if the Skyview Apartments project that Pathstone did at the former Medley Center property in Arundequoit. So she has an extensive background in this area. So it'll be Amy and Karen that will be the point people with Pathstone.
Moving forward, okay. Thanks for that update. Why don't we get started covering what we can cover, and then maybe we table it and finish it up once people's written comments. come
Okay.
in.
Yeah, we can certainly do that.
So-
Do you guys want to start with the architecture?
Sure. Thoughts on that? My novice architectural opinion is that it's not bad. You know, looks in keeping with the rest of the district thus far. I think that they've made an effort to tie into the overall feel and vibe of the town, and you know, I believe they actually mentioned that during the presentation. But also like to solicit other viewpoints from the rest of the board. So if anybody wants to chime in, that's
I'm okay with it for now. I mean, it's a sketch plan. We don't have a lot of
Yeah.
detail. We don't have color renderings or anything like that that will be in the final application. But yeah, I think it's in keeping. I think it's in keeping with the area and the town.
yeah.
So I have no problem with it.
I don't have any
Yeah.
comments right now. Thank you.
Right. Do you have
I
any comments or concerns on the site plan layout?
You know, the site plan layout, it's right up there on the screen. If, with that fire lane on the south end, if there is an alternative that's acceptable, I really would like to see that go away if there is something. And maybe they could talk to the RIT folks about what they do with those grass paver things. And
The
maybe that
permeable
would actually
pavement
work
systems?
here, because RIT isn't that far south. You know, they have virtually the same climate that we have here in Penfield, much further to the north. And apparently, they say that they work.
Okay.
So
We can,
that, I think, is something to seriously look into.
it could tie into green infrastructure and improvements,
Yeah.
reducing overall impervious space on the site, yeah. So that's something we can certainly,
Yeah,
Yeah, to
in terms
sketch
of
that out.
site plan, I think that making sure the pedestrian spine is truly, becomes a main street, that there are places that people want to walk through there. It's not just some empty walkway or expanse of pavers or pavement or whatever it's, and the surface is also going to be somewhat important, should look nice. Lighting for that, pedestrian scale illumination, and lighting to make sure the buildings look good and the landscaping looks good, so that it creates an inviting atmosphere.
What about the parking? Did we
Yeah, I
mention
know, I was just
parking?
trying to look at the parking.
Yeah, there were some concerns, I think, about the parking. I think Peter got into it a little bit, but I don't know. I think that's gonna have to be addressed a little bit over there.
In terms of two big expansive lots and maybe breaking it up into, I don't know, smaller chunks where they're separated, or?
Just enough parking, I think, was one concern, and I think, yeah, then breaking up maybe a little bit wouldn't be a bad idea either.
It's got like a shopping mall feel to it. Because it's one big parking lot,
Yeah.
in essence. So anything they could do to try to break that up, I know it's,
It's a challenge with plowing and,
Yeah,
and the efficiency of that.
Right.
yep.
If there's a way they could, I don't know, break it up, integrate a little bit more landscaping in there.
Right. Yeah, you wonder if there could be a north-south, a couple of landscaping beds so that instead of it being 2 lots, it's almost 4 lots. I don't know if that would fit space-wise on the site, though.
Right.
You know, just to add some
Visual interest.
vegetation, yeah, visual break.
Or buffering from seeing all the automobiles, yeah.
Right.
And the other thing I was gonna mention, I think the public area, do we address that at all? Where the area for the tenants to be outside and stuff? You know, where they could gather and stuff
The
like that?
pedestrian courtyards.
Yes.
Oh, in the
In each of the
courtyard
buildings.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was a concern, that ample area for the tenants.
Okay. All right. Let's continue on through our various disciplines and get some overall comments.
Okay, and I can,
Thanks.
Ooh, Jim,
Jim?
Yeah, before we offer the site plan here, and with apologies to Peter Vars and his customer that I was unable to get some written comments out that the other board members could absorb, but as long as we're talking about parking here, I think it's important to note that the mixed-use development manual discourages parking out by the road. And we had that same issue with the mixed-use development across the street. And here we have a fairly significant sized piece of parking right out by the road. And, it's important to note that the vegetative visual screen that they're showing won't mature for a number of years. So again, with apologies for not having a more fruitful response here, I think it's something that, the site design needs to perhaps reconsider.
Okay. How about, this is in an A zone, which is the most intense zone in the mixed-use district, and also should be the most heavily commercialized. There isn't a lot of commercial space proposed here. Yeah, it goes back to our chicken and egg syndrome with this, but is that something that we should be pursuing more vigorously?
so would you like to see something like more commercial along the pedestrian spine? So there's, whether it's.
Well, I think that if that pedestrian spine is kind of this main street, there should be reasons that you would want to walk down the main street other than just to walk.
Having some
You
pedestrian
want to
level
walk
or,
to someplace.
yeah, having some like
and-
pedestrian centric, commercial.
Yeah,
users.
and this shows, I mean, there's a fairly ample amount of space, and I know that on the east side, I think the goal is to have some recreational, active recreational areas. At least, I remember being told that. And maybe the person who said it could just nod up and down their head on the call, but they're not.
I do know, he said they were gonna go into more detail on what they would be
Yeah.
proposing in terms of active recreation on the site and in the preliminary final
There's your
stage
nod.
of the application.
Oh, yeah. There's the nod.
It-
Okay.
I think there's a slight delay between when we say something and when the rest of Zoom
There may be
hears
a
it.
delay. Okay, at least he was paying attention.
So AJ,
Yeah,
I don't know that this is the right moment in the approval process. It's a sketch plan, but
right.
I'd very much like to hear Chris Lopez's opinion about just the massing plan as it relates to the mixed-use development manual and just some of the things that you're talking about here with respect to, the Main Street and the Commons and the kinds of ancillary facilities and things of visual interest and physical interest that are available to people in this development, yeah.
I think that's a very good idea, Jim. That said, I think it's probably more appropriate at the preliminary final stage.
Agreed.
Okay? What else we need to cover? The out parcel. Is that use currently unknown, right? Restaurant, store, something along those lines, it seems. So,
Is there any intention to make that a multi-story building, or would you guys have any interest in seeing it be a multi-story building? I know in our conversations with other mixed-use users who have either come in to discuss with us plans for future mixed-use developments in the area, as well as in our discussions with prospective tenants for the Penfield Square commercial properties, there's been interest in doing vertical mixed use as part of those buildings. So to make the commercial more viable, to do something like apartments above, or to do 2 levels of commercial.
right.
Does the board have any interest in seeing if that could be
I
either a
think
way
that's
to?
good- Personally, I think it's a good idea.
I just like to say that I applaud anybody willing to come into the community and make this kind of a significant investment. And I think the board should do everything they can within the flexibility permitted by the mixed-use development manual to allow them some leeway in what they're doing and not try to pin them down to specific uses and different floor levels and things.
Right.
There's a lot that's going to happen between now and when this project goes in the ground, and we certainly want to do everything we can to support them.
Sure. Okay. Any other comments?
I'm all set.
All right, so do we want to hold off? Jim, you're thinking you want to hold off before we send the letter to get your thoughts down on paper? Or we can
Yeah,
include some of them in
I think that's only fair to the applicant.
Yeah.
I do have a number of notes here. Time got away from me the past 2 weeks, and I'll make an effort to get that out this weekend, so that Doug can prepare something that's more beneficial to Peter and his team.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. So why don't we, do you,
You can,
Doug, have more that you want to cover tonight on this?
It would be whatever you guys, whatever concerns or other issues or things you liked about the project that you wanted to incorporate into a sketch letter, because I'll begin, if you guys are interested. I can begin a sketch letter and continue working on it, and then over the weekend, because I'll probably start it tomorrow, and then if Jim wants to get his comments in, I can work to incorporate those in any other discussions the board has.
One of the specific features that they had brought up was that rooftop
Terrace?
deck terrace that I thought was a great concept and a great idea.
That overlooks, that's on the side towards 250.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
On the side towards 250, yeah.
Yes, it has a nice view of the hillside and
Yeah,
farm country.
I like that.
So on. I
I
think
like
that's
that
nice.
concept.
One thing up there maybe, and I would assume that they're gonna consider having propane heaters or something to make it almost 3.5 season use, if not 4 season use, but. Okay, so I don't know if we need to table. It's not really an actual application.
We've done that in the past, most recently, the last two sketch plans we had, we did do.
Yeah, so we
or
can,
motion to table or begin
All
to
right,
a
so
sketch letter.
I'll move to table pending completion of the sketch plan.
I'll
letter.
second.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Bastian,
Bastian, aye.
Burton,
Burton, aye.
Canower,
Canower, aye.
Tidings.
Tidings, aye.
Okay,
Okay. Thanks, Peter.
thanks, Pete.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
You too.
You too.
All right, our second tabled application is 2070 Empire Boulevard, the healthcare facility on the former Tom Walls property. We received revised plans yesterday from Costitch Engineering. They did take some of your comments here, and they reduced the parking along the front of Empire Boulevard, reducing from 98 spaces to 93 spaces, and sort of cleaning up and creating an actual drive aisle where there was just sort of
Big
a wide
expanse.
open area of pavement. So there is a dedicated driving lane. It does reduce the parking that they originally had from 98 to 93. They suggest about 58 is what's needed. I do believe they also clarified, based on the comment around the dumpster enclosure, that it would be a composite material. Paul, am I correct? Would it be like a composite wood material, sort of like a Trex?
Yep, that's correct. We've used that material in other dumpster enclosures, and that's what we're proposing, the composite material to match the building finish.
Okay,
What about the roof units, air conditioning units? Was that a concern?
screening.
Screening?
They did provide, prior to the public hearing, they did provide a,
Elevation.
perspective elevation in terms of visual impact. The parapet in the front would do a lot to hide the rooftop units that they would need, or that would be necessitated by a healthcare facility.
So Paul, I'm assuming that this is, the elevations that we're looking at on the screen are pretty, not necessarily generic, but pretty generic. And I think we all know, or could surmise,
I can
the
tell
actual-
you it's a U of R urgent care. They had board approval this
Okay.
afternoon, so
All right.
the secret's out.
So, I'm gonna assume it's gonna look a lot like the other structures around the county.
Yeah, they have their signature SAL, and the building materials were explained by Nate, the project architect at the last meeting. It's a brick material and stone, very similar to what you have and recently approved and are familiar with.
Right,
The corner of 441 and Harris Coiling.
right. Any other issues that anybody has?
I have no
I'm
issue
good.
at all.
Thank
U
you.
of R, they're gonna do a good job.
Jim, any comments?
No, I'm good, AJ.
Okay. Paul, I appreciate the reduction in the parking. I think that's going to add nicely to, some green space on Empire Boulevard. And, I don't know how much, would it be nice to have more green space in the back? Sure, but I'm satisfied if everybody else is satisfied with that. So can we get unless there's any other deal breakers from staff that we're waiting for, can we start a resolution on this?
Yes, I can start a resolution.
Okay, whose was this?
I don't remember.
Oh, I don't
I'm
remember.
not sure.
Let's somebody want to move to table
I'll-
pending,
I'll
get
mo-
start a
I'll move to table pending a approval resolution.
preparation of an approval
Yeah,
resolution?
I'll second.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Bastian,
Bastian, aye.
Burton,
Burton, aye.
Canower,
Canower, aye.
Tidings.
Tidings, aye.
All right. So we'll see your mug again in 2 weeks.
Look forward to it. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Have a good night.
Take
You
care.
too.
Bye-bye.
All right, application number 3, 1364 Jackson Road. It's the Penfield Central School District subdivision. We also received revised plans yesterday. The only change on it, or major change on it, was we had asked, staff had been asking for a 30-foot drainage easement to cover the entire tributary of 4 Mile Creek on the property. They have added and shown that on the property. At the last meeting, you guys asked that we draft an approval resolution and Part 2 EAF. We have completed both of those for your consideration.
Okay. Any comments from the board? I mean, this is essentially a simple subdivision of land for us.
I have no comments.
Jim, anything?
No, I'm good, AJ.
Okay. Somebody want to move to allow me to sign the environmental
Yeah.
assessment form?
I'll move for approving the EAF.
I'll second.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Bastian,
Bastian, aye.
Burton,
Burton, aye.
Canower,
Canower, aye.
Tidings.
Tidings, aye.
All right. The approval resolution?
And I'll move to prepare the approval resolution.
It's already prepared, but
I'll second.
Approve it.
move to approve.
Move to approve.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Bastian,
Bastian, aye.
Burton,
Burton, aye.
Canower,
Canower, aye.
Tidings.
Tidings, aye.
All right.
All right.
Next.
Application number 4, 100 Old Quarry Lane, the RIT site plan. Since we last met, the zoning board approved their 2 variances for the garden fence and for the signage larger than allowed by code. We haven't received any significant updates since, but I know they've been working on their end to further clarify what their use of the property is, I believe. At this time, staff has not completed a draft approval resolution, but it's something that we can work towards if that's where the board's feeling.
Are there any other, I think that they've made great strides. I don't have any issues at the moment.
Okay.
I appreciate their willingness to work with the neighbors and the town on, let's call it 95% of anybody's demands or suggestions. So I think that's been good. And just open it up to the rest of the board to see if anybody has any outstanding items to bring up or issues before we ask you to finish up that approval resolution.
I'm all set, thank you.
Yeah, I'm set.
I'm all set. I think it's a nice addition to the town, to be quite honest, a nice asset.
Agreed. Jim, anything on your end?
No, I'm satisfied, and I would like to mirror your comments about what a nice job the applicant has done about being good neighbors and satisfying the concerns of the community.
Yeah. Okay, so does somebody want to move to direct staff to complete the approval resolution?
Do we need
for
one? I'll make the
action next
motion
week?
if we need one. Yeah,
Next
tidings. Thank you.
Got a second?
I'll second.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Bastian,
Bastian, aye.
Burton,
Burton, aye.
Canower,
Canower, aye.
Tidings.
Tidings, aye.
Okay, so just so you guys know, we're now preparing the approval resolution to vote on it next meeting.
Thank
And
you.
Thanks for joining the call.
Yes, thank you.
Have a great night.
You too.
You too.
All right,
All right, and then we do have one action item, 1181 Watson Hulbert Road. It is an administrative lot line shift or administrative subdivision. The applicant lives at 1181 Watson Hulbert Road. Darwin Welker, he is a farmer. He has been leasing his neighbor's property at 1875 Sweets Corners Road for a number of years. It made more sense to just buy the property and do it incorporate into his existing farm. So they're looking to shift the lot line so he can pick up about 16 acres of existing farm field. That would leave 1875 with just over 6 acres, which would keep it compliant with zoning based on the size of the accessory structures there.
so it won't create a non-conforming lot in any,
Nope,
Right.
went back and forth and discussed it with Andy Sevegas in the zoning department, because we wanted to make sure that they kept enough land on the neighboring property, 1875, so that it meets our 1% rule and that all the buildings on the, where the lot line will be shifting will meet
Setbacks.
setbacks.
okay. Anybody have any comments, concerns on this?
No.
Is,
You got anything?
is the septic designated for lot one? I'm trying to read it here.
I do not believe it is shown. We do have the surveyor on Zoom with us if you do have any questions. Bob, is where is the septic for 1875 Suites?
1875 is in the side area, but it's proper distance from the lot line.
I believe the minimum setback is 15 feet for a septic system, is that correct? I think that's what the county requires.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, should that be designated on the print?
Yeah, we can have that, we
Okay.
can have that's shown on the final plat that HLC
Yeah,
will be.
okay. Thank you.
Okay.
And that should be served now by public water, so there's probably not a
Yeah, I
well
believe there's-
designation.
Yeah, I believe
Okay.
there's a 8-inch water main that runs on the north
Yeah,
side of Sweets
okay.
Corners Road, if I'm
Thank you.
remembering correctly where it is.
Okay. Jim, any comments or thoughts?
No, I'm fine with this.
Okay. Somebody want to move to approve it?
I'll move to approve.
Tidings, second.
Hetzke,
Hetzke, aye.
Bastian,
Bastian, aye.
Burton,
Burton, aye.
Canower,
Canower, aye.
Tidings.
Tidings, aye.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you very much.
thanks, Bob.
You're
I'll be
welcome.
following up with you tomorrow.
Okay,
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
take care.
Anything else that we
That
need
is all we
to cover
have,
tonight?
that's all we have for you guys tonight.
All right, well, listen,
No way.
what?
I'm staying.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Thanks, everybody, for coming. And we will call this meeting adjourned. Have a great night.
See you in May.